stories that led to those things. And we want to, and we should be doing more of it.
And the girls who stepped forward to talk to us today represent and stand in for the voices of those who we often forget. The women and girls that are not doing just fine. The women and girls who've been told that they should wait and that their issues can be written off. But their stories, many will be told here for the first time, remind us that our future rests not just with our boys and our men, but also with our women and girls. So, the women.
Fortunately, I had a mother who, when I told her about it, she believed me, she protected me, she removed me from that environment. But my mother was not so fortunate. She was raped, molested over a very long period of time during her childhood. I believe starting about the age of 5. And she was not believed. She was not protected. She was not removed from the environment until many years later, and then only through making her the victim again by putting her in the criminal justice system. So in other words, she was removed from that situation not to protect her, but to protect the perpetrator. And still, there is the issue is not talked about in my family. It is not discussed.
My name is Marissa Shields, and I'm here today because I'm a part of the Girls Justice League, and we are co-sponsoring this event. And I came personally because I wanted to further educate myself on the issues being talked about today, and actually know some of the people who were speaking, who were testifying today or giving a testimony about their experiences with gender and racial inequality, especially in the Philadelphia area, which is where I live. So knowing about what's going on around me, even if it's not affecting me, is something that's important to me, so that I can help to make sure it's not happening to where I can't help it, if that makes sense.
6 months ago, 3 months ago, we might not know about Daniel Holtzclaw. Just the day before yesterday, the jury was deliberating over 36 counts of rape and sexual abuse that this police officer inflicted upon black women in the city. There was a lot of concern because the jury deliberated for 4 days and finally came out with convictions for about half the cases. Now, that is something to lift up, that at least half of those women were believed, but we also have to pay attention to the fact that half of them weren't believed. So part of what we want to pay attention to is, what is it about being a woman of color? What is it about being a poor woman? What is it about being a homeless woman? What is it about being a woman who might be chemically dependent that creates the vulnerability both to be subjected to this kind of violence and not to be believed when it happens?
My name is Emmy Morse, and I'm here today to break the silence because it blew my mind when we sat down after the last name that we heard that we recognized, and I, along with I'd say at least half of the audience, sat down after the first woman's name was mentioned. And I knew one of the ones that was mentioned after that, but when they said that those were all the women that were killed by police brutality within 2 weeks of all the men who were killed by police brutality that we all knew, that I felt that hurt. And that is violence. That silence is violence, and we have to break it.
Family instability and push out in schools. The conversation about push out to date has been one in which girls have not figured prominently in either understanding what factors lead to pushing out and what the consequences of being a girl pushed out of school might be. It also hasn't paid attention to the way that family instability, in particular for girls, leads them to a higher risk of being pushed out of school. Hopefully after this panel, we won't be at a loss to explain how gender, race, class contribute to pushing out, and in particular, how gender identity, performance, and sexuality is an unappreciated factor that leads girls and young women and gender non-conforming people to be pushed out of school. Say her name. Say.
Felt like if someone had done a crime, I thought they deserved the time. The more I understood about the prison system and how people get there, I realized that not everybody did something, or not everybody did something that was under their control, whether it was a mental health crisis, or whatever the case may be, that people end up in the prison system. Once you're there, it's so hard to get out if you don't have the supports. And so I'm free, myself personally, all of the volunteers that work with us, we're trying to be that support. I recently heard something about bars and nets, and let's stop talking about the bars and the nets and the ladders. So let's build ladders to help people out. And so we want to be the ones holding the ladders so that women can climb out of their difficult situations. I work with women who are incarcerated, and I'm a foster parent. And just from your paperwork, the connection between the women who we work with that are incarcerated, many of them have been in the foster care system, and then seeing the little ones on the other end who are missing their parents and just not feeling like they have a stable home or a stable upbringing, and there's just that connection between the two. And so I guess I want to be a change agent and make a difference on both ends, to the mothers who are suffering and the children who are suffering. And so it's important for me to be here so that not only my voice is heard, but that I can hear other people's voices and know what's important to them, and we can all work together to affect change.
And working with women that are incarcerated, could you share how you feel about that whole process?
How do I feel about the process? Well, it's, I have to say, the more that I've learned, I don't know if it's the more angry I am, but the more determined I am. There are huge injustices.
Months ago, I ran into a situation where my daughter's school was trying to push her out. And I'm an advocate, and I'm really involved in education in our city. And when it came time, I just told the school, no, you're not doing that. I don't agree. We have to figure something else out. And in doing that, it really opened my eyes that there are a lot of parents who don't do that, who don't know that they have that power. And so I just thought that it was important that I be here just to be engulfed in this empowerment. And
is Lexi White. I live here in Philadelphia, and I'm here representing New Voices, Women of Color for Reproductive Justice. I'm here today breaking the silence because women of color deserve reproductive justice, and we need to take a stand and let the world know what we need. I'm here today in solidarity with all participating organizations, and I'm excited to see the momentum that comes out of this event today.
I came today because I've been following the work of the African American Policy Forum for a while around girls of color. It was part of the reason we formed our organization, and it was really inspirational to read their study. So I was excited that something was happening in Philadelphia, and I thought it would be a great way for our girls to come and learn about some of the research and hopefully to become part of the movement.
Full of Michelle Rousseau.
Miriam Carey.
Maya Hall.
Natasha McCann.
Charlie Golden.
Rakia Boyd. Sandra Bland. Shelly Fry. Shanique Proctor.
Tanisha Anderson.
Tarika Wilson.
Yvette Smith.
Chantel Davis.
If everyone would please stand and rise in honor of every woman struck down and say her name.
Exploring different issues and concerns.